Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. Hola, everybody. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. How was your day been?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was just kind of like gloomy today.
Yeah, it was
rainy I don't mind it, pero quiero estar acostada. I don't want to be at work.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go and get your food y lo tienes frío,
And it wasn't that cold.
No, pero porque te mojas, güey.
No, I'm like, it looked like it. You know how sometimes when it's like very gloomy outside and you're like, oh, ahorita que salga para afuera está bien pinche frío and shit,
No, I think
but it wasn't that cold.
It wasn't that cold, but
it was like 60 something.
Yeah, I mean, you could just wear a light jacket or whatever. Pero I mean, to me, it was freezing because we live in Houston and it's always 80, a million degrees.
No, I'm like, why isn't it colder? That was my thought.
Oh, really? No, I just went to go get my lunch y luego, ¿sabes qué? Me caga que when it's raining, my fucking glasses get foggy or they get wet. Y luego I can never get them clean again. I don't know why.
You know what?
What?
You should go get your prescription so you could get new contacts.
That's true. But I actually was pissed at myself because I needed to go outside. So you know what I had to do? Me los quité. I took them out and then me los puse aquí adentro de mi shirt so that no les cayera la water. Because I could never get them clean again. It just never happens. Or you'll get a streak or no miro or something like that.
And then it's only certain types of like... Sometimes one shirt that I wear doesn't clean them right, but if I use like a specific type of napkin, it works. And I'm like, what the hell?
I don't know, but like Kleenex always work for me, but at work, I'm always, I wear scrubs, so the scrub material nunca lo limpia. No. Están peor. I'm like,
it's a hassle.
It's a hassle because then I'm in the car, I'm trying to drive, and there's like drops of rain in my fucking glasses.
You need little wipers on your glasses.
I do. That would be so cool. Can you make that happen?
I can find some. I'm sure I can find some on Amazon, but I don't think they're going to be prescription glasses, but
I mean, I could put them over these glasses.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, we can make it work. So today's episode will be brought to you by
me,
Estela. So where are we going today?
So for today's case, at least for me, we're still staying across the pond.
You like those across the pond ones?
Yeah, it's 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's 2 in a row. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the across the pond.
No, but I mean, it just, I started looking up another case, but when you don't feel it.
No, you don't feel it. When you don't feel it, you don't feel it.
Like, you don't find anything. No. You're like...
And then you look, and like, what happens to me, luego I get real discouraged, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this one. And I'm like, maybe, and then, no.
I know, for me, sometimes be like, I don't know that this is going to make like a full, like 40-something or maybe an hour episode. And I'm like, it's probably going to be like 20 minutes. And then I'm like, no, I wasn't sure, and I did some research on the other case, and I was like, you know what? No. And this one came to me, I was like, okay, this works.
And for me, I don't know why. Like, I'm drawn to a lot of cases in Texas. I don't know why. Like, most of the cases...
You think you subconsciously find them?
No, I do. Like, I think que algo pasa que I don't think I'm doing it on purpose. Solamente así sucede que I end up finding one. And literally today I was looking into a case and it was in Fort Worth. I'm like, damn it, I can't do another Texas. But yeah, I can't. And you with the across the pond.
Yeah, it's just 2 in a row. Calm down.
No, but you've done more across the pond de que nada más 2 in a row. Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, so we're going across the pond. So if you'd like to come with us and go across the pond, go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started. Now, we're going to a city in England called Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah. I thought you said is on trend.
No, on Trent.
Like Trent?
Yeah.
Like a person's name, Trent?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The fun, random, interesting fact about the city is that it is, according to visitstoke.co.uk, it is the world's capital of ceramics.
Oh, that's cool.
I know. I thought
like
so
ceramics.
Too. The city is even affectionately called the Potteries.
The Potteries.
Yeah.
With an S.
Yes.
More than one pottery.
Yes.
Okay.
It is a must-see destination if you are a lover of pottery, and the city has award-winning museums. You can tour factories and, te puedes sentar también ahí en la silla and try to make some pottery and stuff. And they
I don't think I would be very good at that.
They have shops and all that other stuff that you can, buy.
I've seen a lot of people make that on TikTok. Y se mira bien padre, pero...
I went with my friends.
And I'm not good at that.
We never went back for our piece. I think I made a cup.
Yeah? You have to go back and pick it up because they have to, lo tienen que meter al horno.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's like across on the other side of town. So we just never went
They
back.
probably threw it away, bitch. I'm pretty sure they did. They're probably like, these hoes never came pick
like,
them up. No.
This doesn't even look like a cup. Like, who's going to want to drink out of this?
No, se lo tiraron.
So,
ya. I'm pretty sure it's in the trash. I mean, I could probably 99.9% sure that it's in the trash.
I think they just, es polvo. Lo hicieron polvo.
No, lo hicieron clay otra vez.
Yeah.
I mean, porque they were like,
it's hard.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if I would be able to.
It's cool, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I see, because I follow this girl that she makes custom mugs. They're super pricey.
Oh, is it the one that I'm always saying, oh, we're going to get these, and whenever they're really expensive?
They're really, but I mean, she goes hard.
But they're like really nice. I mean, it's not like you're buying, they're one of a kind. Like,
yes. And she only makes like a certain amount.
What the fuck was that? Amount?
She only makes a certain amount of mugs and she'll release them. Like, she'll be like, for October, she's like, I only have 20 mugs.
I love and then, like, the Halloween ones were so fucking bomb.
So cute.
But
anyways, yeah. So it's really hard. It's really cool. And this place sounds cool.
Me and my fucking ADD ass would be like, no salió bien, nah, fuck it, y lo tiro a la basura.
Well, you can, like, if it's the shape is coming out wrong, you just lo haces like a stub again and start back up, and you just have to add water. Pues por eso we don't do it.
No, that's why I'm not going to do pottery. But I'm glad that we're going to the pottery capital of the world.
Ceramics, yes. The potteries.
Pottery. Well, ceramics.
Cerámica, güey.
Cerámica. Okay, luego?
Yeah. Now, this case, I'm pretty sure you've heard about it. I've heard about it, and I've personally have watched multiple people discuss the case.
Oh, okay.
Years ago.
Okay.
And I thought I remembered all of it, but I think I only remembered the main big chunk of it and not the rest of the case. So even when I was like looking up information and watching like a documentary and stuff, I was like, I had no idea. I had like, no me acordaba. I had no idea this had happened. So, and the thing about this case is that as it's unfolding, it's being recorded. Like, you can see everything happening for the most part, like at least a big chunk of the case. And
it's recorded by who? Like the
cameraman. There's a cameraman because it happens on like on the motorway, which is like a highway kind of. They have CCTVs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll find out what I mean.
Okay.
We'll begin with twin sisters, though not identical. Ursula and Sabina Eriksson. They were born on November 3rd, 1967 in Grassmark, which is like a district in, probably not going to say this properly, so sorry. Soon municipality in Värmland County in Sweden.
Okay. I'm glad you had to say that because I would be, my shit would be fucked up. Be like, oh.
No, a lot about their early life is not known, but I did find this book called A Madness Shared by Two by David Kahn, and he's like an investigative journalist. And he got information, like secondhand information that knew the twins from when they were back in Sweden and stuff. Some stuff I've included, some stuff I didn't because he couldn't really corroborate. It was just people telling him, hey, I knew the girls when we went to school, but you had no really form of proving it because they were just telling you, so
kind of like more like a story, like people would just tell them like stories.
Yeah, maybe after
this
case came out, a lot of people wanted to talk shit, so maybe they were making up shit. You don't know. So I just try to include what could be proven, Now, it was a nice rural area, the countryside. Their family consisted of their parents, Yvonne and Jan, Janne was their dad's name. I'm sure I butchered that. I'm sorry.
No, call him John.
Yeah. And an older sister named Mona and an older brother named Bjorn. And then the girls were born the third. So they were the youngest ones. When Ursula and Sabina were 22 in 1989, their dad actually passed away. But by that point, I believe their parents had already been separated for a little bit. Ya tenían tiempo separados. Now, by the year 2000, Ursula was living in America. So ella estaba in Santa Barbara County, California. And Simon, her nephew, so era hijo of Sabina, the other twin.
Okay.
Pero el nephew estaba viviendo con ella in America. There are records of him attending an elementary school in that area. And the reasons why Sabina sent Simon to live with Ursula in America while she was living in Norway, I think, at the time. We don't know.
There's no record. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
like there's speculation here and there, but quién sabe. Sabina then sometime later joined both of them, Simon and Ursula, in America. And they both can be traced living together in southern Santa Barbara in May of 2007.
Okay.
And then Simon attended a high school in the area. So for sure, they were all three of them were there. Now, Sabina and Simon left America, I want to say sometime in the year 2007, because by the time of the events of today's case, she was living in Mallow, County Cork, Ireland.
Mallow. Okay.
Mallow.
So then they were everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like it was between the United States and Europe.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay.
Yeah. So it said that Sabina vivía in County Cork, Ireland with her 2 children who may or may not have been her stepchildren. And then Simon, her oldest, and her husband. Now, in Ireland, Simon, I know I just said Simon. Simon was not in Ireland. Simon was in Norway.
This is some confusing ass shit.
Yeah, so Sabina vivía con 2 kids in Ireland with her husband. Those 2 kids, quién sabe si they were biologically hers.
Sí, ya los tenía el señor. Okay.
And then Simon, her oldest, was living not in Ireland, but in Norway.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
Hey, you know what? Everybody has a different dynamic in their lives.
Now, in May 2008, Ursula traveled to Ireland to visit Sabina. So Ursula se vino de California to visit her sister Sabina in Ireland. And this is the main timeline of what happened cuando esta la fue a visitar in Ireland. So on May 16th, Ursula and Sabina boarded a ferry to Liverpool, which is in England, and they arrived the next day in the morning. And after they got off the ferry, they went to the St. Anne Police Department to file a report about concerns regarding the safety of her children back in Ireland.
What? That's so weird.
The officers told Sabina that they would look into it and that they would follow up with police officers in Dublin, in Ireland.
So basically what you're telling me is que se subieron al barco, a la ferry, a la madre esta.
From Ireland.
So ellas se fueron y cuando llegaron, they were like, oh.
But we got to stop to the police department.
We had to stop in Ireland.
No, in England.
In England. In Liverpool, in England.
Yes.
And was like, oh, I think we're concerned about my kids.
Yes.
But that I left them back there.
Yes.
Myself when I just left a few
with
hours
my sister.
Okay.
Yes. At around 11:30 a.m., after they fueron to file the police report, both women board a National Express coach heading to London.
Okay.
Why they were heading to London from Liverpool, no one knows to this day. But they would never make it to London. Now, around lunchtime, the bus makes a stop at a Keel Services. So it's just like a gas station, which...
El Busis.
Yeah.
Como el Busis.
Let's say it's like Buc-ee's. Just... And it's near Stoke-on-Trent, which again is where today's case happens. It is reported that the stop wasn't a scheduled stop. The bus made the stop because either Ursula and Sabina were acting odd and just weird, which is what the bus driver stated, or because they were not feeling well, which was in an actual police report.
So there was 2 different
versions of events.
Okay. So the police report said que they weren't feeling well, but the
bus driver
dijo que
they were being weird.
We were being weird. Okay.
Yeah. Now, one of them claims of them being odd and or erratic.
Not erotic. Oh my God. Not erotic.
Erratic.
Y luego?
Was that they were like holding on to their bags just close to their chest, and they didn't want to let them go.
Como que tenían miedo or something?
Maybe. And even when the driver asked them to hand them over to, you have to put up your shit, into the compartments and stuff, right? Or like under the bus or arriba, right?
Yeah.
So el bus driver les preguntó, hey, give me the bag, I'll put it away for you. They refused. And this must have raised the driver's concerns or something, because he asked to search their shit, and they refused.
Oh, so he was probably like, why don't you want to let go of it?
Right. And you know what? Maybe it was both. Maybe one of them wasn't actually feeling well, so they made that stop, and then they were being really weird with their bags at the stop when it was time to get back on the bus to move on, So quién sabe. What we do know is that the National Express coach resumed its route to London without Ursula and Sabina, who were left behind at the Kiel Services. An employee from the Kiel Services later went on to say that it seemed to her that obviously the bus driver left them on purpose. So they were like, "You guys are not going to get back
We're
on
not
them.
dealing with you.
Yeah.
We're going to leave you here.
For whatever reason it was.
Okay.
Yeah. She added that she saw them wandering around the
gas station or the area.
And that they headed to the back of the location. They were holding onto their bags really close to their chest. Again. And as they stood having a conversation, she said that on her end, it looked like they were like plotting. They looked super suspicious. And then she said that she thought that maybe one of them had a bomb in their bags and stuff because, there have been terrorist attacks in the UK and stuff like that. So I think the most recent one was in like 2005.
You know what? Bomb never crossed my mind. I'm thinking gun, knife, something else. But I right now when you said bomb, I'm like, what bomb? Like that never crossed. Isn't that weird? Like I wouldn't have thought. Like for some reason that's
because you think it's because we're American.
Yeah, because we're American.
And so it's just a gun.
It's
People
always
have guns.
just a gun. I'm like, oh, it's a gun, knife, or something like that.
Not even a knife. Usually
like
it's the gun.
I'm thinking a gun, but I never like. When you said bomb, that never crossed my mind. Like, that is sad.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's scary. Because I didn't even think of that. Like, I swear. I was like, una pinche pistola o algo. Pero nunca se me ocurrió una pinche bomba. Like, that's not what I thought.
Either her or somebody else that worked there called the police porque la policía llegó.
And what years was this in?
2008.
So there were cell phones. Okay.
Yes. And cuando llegaron, they obviously spoke to Ursula and Sabina. From their conversation that they had with the police, they were deemed harmless. Ursula and Sabina let the officer know that they were going to find their way to London. Y que se iban a ir de ahí. The police gave the woman the phone number of like another coach bus that we were able to pick them up and then take them to London. The police then notified the employees at Kiel Services from, the conversation that they just had with Ursula and Sabina.
Like basically saying, hey, it's fine. They're harmless. They're
harmless.
Be fine.
Yeah, they're going to leave right now.
Gonna leave
Las
right
van a
now,
recoger. Yeah. And so se fueron. The police left y esta Sabina and Ursula just stayed there waiting. And then they were never picked up by another coach. And they began walking along the M6 motorway. So it's like their highway, like a big highway. Ursula and Sabina were then spotted by the Highway Agency Control Center, which they received images from the highway.
It's like Amtrak here.
Yes.
Okay.
The images that they were seeing on their screens were of two women who were like it's kind of like the middle curve, but not really. I guess it's what separates.
Like the median?
Yeah, like the median. And it has like, it had grass and it had like a couple of like railings and stuff and you can walk through the middle. I don't think you're supposed to because it's grass, pero ahí andaban ellas. A highway agency patrol unit is dispatched to remove them from there for their safety. So as they arrived, Ursula and Sabina saw that they were coming and they jumped over the railing and walked straight into traffic.
Holy shit.
And you can see this on camera. One of them gets like struck by a vehicle, but from what you can see, like she wasn't hit head on, como que like she kind of like sideswept it, como la puerta del passenger es cuando lo pegó. And
so casi no le pegaba, pero le alcanzaron a dar.
A rozar, And I think it was Sabina. Now, in the video, you can see Ursula, her sister gets sideswept by the car, y aquella sigue caminando.
Like, no volteó?
No. She kept on walking.
Wow.
And, cars were stopping and trying to swerve not to hit her. Now, Central Motorway Police is called, and it is PC Paul Finlayson and his partner, PC Tracy Cope, who are close by, and they make their way over to the scene. So when they, obviously as they're driving there, now all of this is recorded and all of this is out there for everybody to see. So I guess as they get the call, they're being kind of like debriefed on what's happened. Someone got ran over as they walked into traffic. So they said, or at least PC Paul says that when they arrived at the scene, they were expecting to see them with serious injuries, right?
Yeah.
But cuando llegaron and they went over to like the side, I guess like the emergency lane. They saw two women standing. They're talking to one of the motorway patrols.
Okay.
So PC Paul and PC Tracy exit their vehicle and they begin speaking with one of the patrol officers about the situation as another patrol está parado like 10, 15 feet behind them they're standing with Sabina and Ursula y el patrol. They're like here in the back. And then you can see now there's a full-on cameraman there. And PC Paul and that other guy, the other patrol, les está explicando lo que pasó. Out of nowhere, in the back, you just see Ursula run into the traffic.
¿Otra vez?
Otra vez. She runs right into the oncoming traffic. Now, the patrol officer tries to grab her and manages to catch her jacket, but she shrugs out of the jacket and runs. There's 18-wheelers passing by. There's just cars like just going, you know? So vehicles are squealing to stop. Officers are trying to get to Ursula, who was actually ran over by the wheels of the trailer.
Yeah, an 18-wheeler.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
And seconds later, Sabina también runs into traffic.
Like, were they trying to, I mean, hold up. They're trying to fuck themselves up or what?
And she gets hit by a car. Like, straight up gets ran over by a vehicle. And again, all of this is on camera. And after she was hit, cayó. She was unconscious. The car's window.
I mean, you think?
The car's window was like completely shattered. The roof was dented. De donde cayó.
Oh, crap. So then, but these ladies, I mean, they're not jumping. They're just running into traffic. So they're not like actually like.
They're not trying to avoid the cars.
Like they're not trying. They're running into the like
on purpose.
I guess in my mind, like the way that whenever you were explaining it, I guess I didn't catch that, or maybe I didn't imagine it. Yo me imaginaba como they were on top of something, como que they were jumping down.
No,
pero no, they're just walking, and so they're just like walking, running. Pero no dice nada. They're just running.
They're just running into traffic.
Oh my God.
So obviously cars stopped. They're not moving on the M6. The women obviously immediately they start getting their injuries assessed. Ursula had head injuries and she's the one that ran into the 18-wheeler and she had major leg injuries.
And did they still have their purses like on their chest and stuff?
No, they were just walking by themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, bones were protruding out of her leg, and PC Paul stated that it looked like her leg just exploded.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is an 18-wheeler.
Yeah. But unlike Sabina, she was conscious. Nomás tenía her leg all fucked up and other injuries, pero she was conscious. And then she tried to get up.
Oh, my God. What the hell? Were they on something?
And as she's being told to, stay down.
Say, sit your fucking ass down.
She starts screaming for the police. She's like, police, police, gritando. Now, and PC Paul is there and he's like, just calm down. Like, we are the police, we're here to help you. So they call backup and more police and paramedics start to arrive. Now, Ursula, she started getting super aggressive, talking a whole bunch of shit. Le escupió a PC Paul. They're trying to hold her down. Obviously, there were more people que llegaron.
Bitch, you just got ran over.
And she's fighting them.
Oh,
she's throwing hands.
I would have been like, bitch, you know what? Just let her run. I don't care at this point. And that's probably why I'm not a cop.
They are telling her that she's badly hurt and that she needs to calm down and stay down.
Yeah, like, let us help you.
But no, like, she's throwing hands.
Girl.
As much as she could from, her leg being...
I mean, like, yeah.
She's clawing at them.
No, ma'am.
Trying to scratch them. And
they're trying to help her.
Yeah. And, through all of this, she starts saying some weird stuff that doesn't really make sense. And then she says, oh, I recognize you. I know you're not real.
The fuck?
Which reminds me of that lady on the plane. That motherfucker is not real. Yeah. That's what it came to mind. And then she says, I don't know who she says it to. I don't know if she's trying to tell it to her sister. I don't know. But she says, they're going to steal your organs.
Okay, these bitches must be on fucking something.
Now, Sabina, as I mentioned, she was unconscious. She's the one that really got ran over by the car, not the 18-wheeler. And she was being assessed.
Pero ella le dieron la cabeza.
Yeah.
So then the other one just got her leg ran over, and
she still had head injuries.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly how. I don't know. I don't think the 18-wheeler hit her straight on, but she was ran over by the wheels.
Stop.
Yeah. Now, remember, Sabina is unconscious, and then como she comes to, and she tries to sit up. Así, like Michael Myers.
Not the fucking Michael Myers with the
Y también le dice PC Tracy, la señora, le está diciendo, también stay down. And you can see her, but you can tell she looked very disoriented.
You just got hit by a fucking car that was going like 60 miles an hour, dude.
You better be
fucking disoriented.
And she kind of like laid back down, right?
The only person that I know could get back up from that is Michael Myers.
Yeah. But again, she gets up like nothing. Se para.
No, they have to be on something.
Se para, and PC Tracy is trying to hold on to her. But Sabina is not having it, and she starts pulling away. And again, PC Tracy's trying to hold on to her, como que la agarra la de atrás, like her hands like this. But I know listeners can't see me, but I'm just kind of a little bit, como que la agarró de atrás de las dos manos.
Like they were putting her on
in handcuffs, but not really.
But la agarró
she was just
trying to hold her.
Yes. And then Sabina like se suelta de ella y she punches her to PC Tracy. Le mete una trompada, and then she kind of slips and falls, but she catches herself y se para like right away. But Sabina by this point had already jumped.
Mind you, this lady just got ran over by a fucking car.
Yeah.
Like, reminder, she just got ran over.
So by the time PC Tracy se para, que already ran over the median otra vez.
A volverse a echar.
Yes.
I would have just let her die. Be like, all right, bitch, you want to die that bad? Bye.
And she's walking into oncoming traffic because the traffic stopped from this way than where they first got ran over, but from this way it's still going.
So she wanted to go on to the place where to the side that the traffic was going.
And that's what it looked like.
Let's take a quick break.
Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! Taser! She's going to shoot! Oi! Shot fired! Shots fired! Stay out! You got a gun on you!
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
And the patrol and police officers kind of managed to, aquellas crossing the road, and they're behind her. They're like, hey, stop. So cars kind of stop. And then, so no le pegan a Sabina. And it looked like she ran all the way across into like the farthest lane. So they go after her, and then they tell her to calm down. And she begins like running backwards while looking at them like it's a game. Like she looked like she was playing.
Estela,
And
she just got hit by a fucking car.
and they continue to tell her to calm down, and they kind of get close to her, but she's pushing away at their hands. And I think it was PC Paul that was trying to get to her, and she como que caught onto her, but she shrugged off her coat, what she was wearing, and looked like she's about to ready to fight, like she's getting her stuff out so she could fight.
Oh my God. Déjala pues que la pinche...
La atropellen.
La atropellen a la verga. Pues que más? She doesn't listen.
And then PC, I guess, obviously she was right there, and she said that...
I mean, and she got punched?
Yeah, but then PC Tracy's like she looked like her face, the Sabina, looked like she didn't know what was happening. She looked confused, and that I didn't think she understood that they were the police. That they were trying to help.
Because the other one was saying que she...
Well, bitch, they had super fluorescent shit that says police.
See, wait, but maybe they don't know how to read.
They were telling her, hey, we're here to help you. We're trying to help you. And
you don't want my help.
And between PC Paul, Tracy, and a civilian que se bajó a ayudarlos, they managed to surround her like a farm animal. Like they corral her. It's actually really crazy to watch. Ahorita te enseño. But actually, it took about 6 people to restrain her.
Fuck.
6 people, and they began to carry her over the median and over like the middle railings and onto the other side. And as they're trying to do that, she's fighting them. She's kicking them every step of the way, yelling, help, help. And she managed to get one foot loose, and she was just like kicking and kicking. And then PC Paul, he was like, her strength was incredible. They say, you can understand how it was this difficult to, like you say, she just got ran over by a vehicle. And they managed to like handcuff her at some point, and her hands were up as they were carrying her over. When they actually managed to carry her over to the side, they laid her on the ground, and 6-7 people were just on her to keep her down. She was yelling, police, police.
Mind you, maybe she had a broken bone or something, but it didn't fucking matter because...
she wasn't acting like it.
Yeah.
Again, they were telling her, she was yelling for the police, and they were telling her, we are the police.
At one point, I would have been like, I'm not the police. I'm not gonna argue with you.
Again, talking major shit, rayando la madre, fuck you, like what the yes. And it looked like she was trying to claw at PC Tracy, y porque tenía las manos acá arriba así, y PC Tracy was on top of her, like acá donde estaba la cabeza de ella. It was crazy. And then it takes, like, after they actually managed to, like, handcuff her and stuff, like, they pick her up como si fuera, like, a carpet, and they move her to, like, the emergency. I'm going to call it the emergency, like, because that's what it looked like. And when they actually get her down there, they are all out of breath. Like, if they just ran a marathon. Todos. Medics have to give her, like, an actual sedative because they're like, we can't treat her like this, so la tienen que calmar. And they have to be able to treat her and transport her, pero tiene que estar calmada. And I don't know if it's one of them or both of them, but they get airlifted. There's a helicopter there, so I don't know if it was...
Antes no se les quiso tumbar el pinche...
Well, they sedated her, bitch.
Pues sí, güey, pero a mí, ¿te imaginas que she would have been... le iba a querer tumbar el pinche helicopter?
Yeah, but I think it was Ursula. I want to say it was Ursula, the one with the broken, like, messed up leg injuries.
She was still punching there?
Yeah, she was. She sure was. Now, everyone at the scene, they were just, like, in shock. Like, they couldn't believe what they just had witnessed. First of all, how are these two fucking alive? Not only are they alive, but how do they have the strength to fight back after sustaining injuries?
Dude, I think they're on something, to be honest. It had to be.
And then Sabina, like we just said, she got run over by a vehicle and then just kept trying to hurl herself into oncoming traffic.
Como dijo Dave Chappelle, crack is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We don't...
Allegedly.
Yeah. Now, they didn't really know what to think. They were saying, like, hey, was it a suicide pact? Mm-hmm. Were they on something? Mm-hmm. And if they were, did they just have, like, a really bad reaction to it or something? Because...
They couldn't figure it out, basically.
Yeah, they were like, were they being violent because of their injuries? You know, a lo mejor something got crossed or whatever. Now, when their belongings were collected, they found multiple cell phones. I don't know if each one had a cell phone or it was more than one for each. There was also one passport. And then it was then that they looked through their belongings and I guess looked at the passports that they were like, oh, they're twins. Because before they were like...
Oh, because they weren't identical.
They weren't identical.
Okay.
And I guess through like everything that was happening, like they couldn't really, they're sisters, they're twins. No. And they were 40 by this point, and that they were from Sweden. Now, Ursula was in critical condition and was kept in the hospital. And Sabina was given the clear and released 5 hours later.
But did she ever come down and talk to them, or?
She was then transported to the police department to get processed. Mm-hmm. And when they were going to transport her, they were kind of scared. Yeah, she had been sedated, pero they're like, how is she going to act when we're trying to move her to the police? They were on high alert, pero she didn't put up a fight.
Okay.
She was compliant. Even when they got to the facility and they were asking her questions, she was making conversation.
Like nothing.
Like nothing. She was even being a little bit flirty.
What the?
Con los señores. They were joking. She was joking and everything. But she did say something like, in hindsight, when you see her saying it, mm-hmm. It was kind of like a foreshadowing of what was to come. She said, quote, "We say always in Sweden that an accident rarely comes alone. Usually at least one more follows, perhaps two."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All of this on camera, Barbie. You can see it.
Wow.
Recorded. Todo.
That's pretty badass, though.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. So you can never see like a actual like
event
begin
like that.
To start like event.
And I don't think
on camera that never happened.
It's unprecedented, you know, like it's one thing to see it like in camera, like a camera when you like run a red light, no, que tal, unas pinches cámaras. And I think those are the images that they initially received. But no, by the time they started running into actual traffic, a cameraman was on the floor.
Like somebody called like the news and they were like, come here, somebody's about a girl. Yeah. And by this time we're in 2007, so nobody has like... Oh, wait. So nobody has, like, video on their phones and shit.
Not like now.
Not like
but I'm
now.
sure back then,
well, yeah. But what I'm saying is it's not like somebody was going to be out there
on live.
No, this was, like, a real... Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As she was getting processed, she was asked if she ever tried to harm herself, and she said, no, never.
Oh.
Before this.
Okay. I was about to say, I mean, you just fucking jumped in front of damn car. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Now, no drugs were found in either of their possessions. And while Ursula was hospitalized, a sample of her blood was taken and tested, and there was no trace of drugs or alcohol.
What? I could have sworn it was drugs.
I'm sure a lot of people thought it was drugs too. Sabina was charged with assaulting an officer and trespassing on a motorway, and she pleaded guilty to assaulting a police officer after two days later.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the least it would have done it would like, okay, yeah, you were on drugs. Okay, we understand why you hit, but you weren't on shit. So that means that you meant that shit, you know?
And she was actually sentenced to a day in custody. I think that's a little bit for assaulting a police officer.
I mean, assaulting anybody, you shouldn't just spend a day. Like,
yeah.
Por lo menos una semana.
And she was, like I just said, she was sentenced to a day in custody, which she had already served because she was in there a couple of days. So they released her. That evening that esta got released, que esta Sabina got released, 54-year-old Glenn Hollinshead had been out having some drinks with a friend named Peter Malloy. And
I want to go out drinking drinks.
And his dog. So Glenn had his dog. They were out there.
Oh, the dog también fue los drinks?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were at their local pub, just like por la vecindad. And they were out there up until like 9:30. And then they decided to head home.
Oh, tempranito.
Yeah.
Sí, muy noche no.
No. Now, Peter goes on to say that as they began walking up the street, they saw a woman on the opposite side of it. And she was just standing there. And she was wearing a jacket. So by this point, Sabina was wearing her sister's jacket, not hers.
So they see Sabina. So this is Sabina who they're seeing.
Yeah.
Okay. But
because remember,
wearing...
Ursula, her legs all fucked up. So she's in the hospital.
Pero soltaron a la otra. Okay, okay. Uh-huh.
And she's holding a plastic bag. And Peter says, like, she looked distressed. She looked lost. And, like, she wasn't very focused. But the fact that she was just standing there is, like, you couldn't help but fucking notice her. It's fucking 9:30. So she noticed them too and shouted across the street, "That's a nice dog you got there."
Don't fuck with my dog.
They kind of just, I guess, walked over to her and...
Why?
Because she looked lost. I don't know.
Fuck that. If you're talking to me, you look lost and distraught and you're talking about my dog, I am not going to talk to you.
Holding a plastic bag.
No.
And then she started petting the dog and they stuck up a conversation. Peter said that he thought to himself, why does this lady have all her stuff with her in a clear plastic bag?
Exactly. Why you should not have talked to her.
In the middle of the road at night. He thought it was weird.
But why are you talking to her?
Yeah.
Take your little dog and take your little friend.
I guess they think, it's 2 men and a dog to a lady. ¿Qué les va a hacer,
Shit.
We know. But as I said, they began a conversation, and Sabina brought up that her sister was in the hospital and that she needed to find a bed and breakfast. And she was, I guess, wanting to know if there was one around in that area. Well, Glenn le dijo that there was nothing like that around in that area. So Glenn, being the warm, inviting, and helpful person that he was, according to Peter, told Sabina, "Come back to Mainz. We'll get you something to eat, and then I'll help you find somewhere to stay."
Fuck all of that.
I'll just take you to the police. Maybe
no,
they can
I'll be like,
you.
let me get somebody to help you, young lady, because I am not, or you, I would have been like, you go in that pub right there. They probably have a phone in there. You can call somebody, because I am not going to put myself in that situation. No, ma'am.
As the three of them began walking towards Glenn's house.
So digo, vente, vámonos, güey. Oh, okay. Well, that's in England, though. Where is this?
In England, yeah.
So that's England people, not in Texas.
Peter said that Sabina became super bubbly, she was laughing. Her personality came out and was being super warm and inviting and stuff. And she wasn't shifty, when they first ran into her. And that she seemed happy to be having a conversation with somebody, or that maybe she thought that, or le alegró that somebody was helping her out, because even Peter offered to carry her stuff, and so he was carrying her bag or whatever. Peter noticed that in the plastic clear bag, she had 2 cell phones, which I'm assuming is hers and Ursula's, a laptop, cigarettes. She had been wearing a long cardigan type of coat thing. She had it in the bag, and reportedly 1,000 pounds.
Cash.
Yes.
In your hand.
Yeah. Now, the warm and bubbly personality would not last long, because when they got to Glenn's house, she began smoking a cigarette and they were drinking some beers. Peter went on to say que he was like, okay, we need to know more about this lady, right? Let me ask her some more questions about her sister. Y cuando le preguntó de su hermana, that her whole demeanor changed. She said that she became very defensive and became very cold about the whole thing or about the subject and didn't want them to ask her why she was in the city or anything like that. When the conversation would go quiet, esta se paraba, she would go to the window and she would pull the curtains to the side and then she would check outside.
No,
and then she
ma'am.
would place the curtain back and go sit back down. And she said, Peter says that she did it more than once, como like she was paranoid seeing who was outside. When Sabina then offered Peter and Glenn a cigarette, they took it, right? And then as they were about to light them, they had them in their mouths. She snatched them out of their mouths. Y les dijo, they might be poison. You can't have one.
Give me my shit.
Y les dijo,
No.
pero se los ofreció primero.
Something's not right with this woman.
Peter, again, said that he thought to himself that the situation fell off. I mean, I would assume so.
You would think?
You would think, right?
You think?
Something wasn't right with Sabina. And seeing her behavior
I'll
just...
be like, wait for me right here. Let me go get something from outside. I'll be right back, okay?
He said that seeing her be paranoid, he was like, that made me paranoid. But that Glenn was just like, I guess he didn't want to see it or ni en cuenta, or it just flew over his head. He was just chilling, relaxed, drinking his beer. And that he just thought that maybe Sabina was just being like a weird quirky or something.
No.
Weird quirky is Phoebe from Friends, not Sabina from that tried to run into the M6.
I mean, but they don't know that at this time.
Right.
Yeah.
So Peter was ready to go.
Yeah.
So he left. They say that
Peter,
he left.
you're the smartest person in this whole fucking story right now.
He said that he left. That he lived like on the same street, but on the like not far.
He's like, peace.
Yeah, and I think it was like a little bit after midnight. Que dicen que él se fue, like he left. So the next day at around lunchtime, Glenn called his brother, who actually worked at a hospital. And according to Paul, which is Glenn's brother, he sounded like his regular old self, cheerful Glenn on the phone. Glenn told Paul about Sabina and her sister and how they had been in an accident on the M6 if he could find out anything in the hospital. And to let him know if he did, que le hablara para atrás. Now, after that, Glenn went to the back of his house. And outside estaba su neighbor, Frank Booth. And he was washing. Frank estaba así lavando su carro and stuff. So Glenn was going to make some tea, pero he was out of tea bags. So le fue a preguntar a Frank si le podía dar unas tea bags. So Frank se las dio y se metió para adentro, para atrás. Not a minute later, Glenn comes back out into the alleyway donde aquel estaba lavando su carro. He tells Frank, she stabbed me.
What?
Yes. So Frank dialed 999. While Glenn repeated, I'm dying. And I mean, obviously he knew that he was going to die. And like everything, he asked Frank to look after his dog.
Oh, no. Not the dog.
Yeah. And Frank told him, yeah, of course. And then Frank, he was like, and he died right there. He died.
Wow.
He died right there and then.
Not the dog.
So it says that Glenn had been stabbed 5 times. Bitch. 5 times. And
Where was she? She ran or something?
we'll get there. So Sabina stabbed him, right? She left the scene and you can see her on CCTV, caught her as she was running away from Glenn's house with the hammer in her hands.
No, bitch.
And she's wearing her sister's jacket. The one Ursula was wearing the day on the M6. So Joshua, I think Gradich is his last name, who was driving by, said that he noticed a woman out of the corner of his eye and did a double take when he noticed que la woman se estaba pegando la cabeza with the hammer. Her head was bloody. He said that her hair was matted with blood. And he said that he didn't even think about it. He said that he just parked his car and he got off and he tried to start a hammer to this lady.
What the fuck?
Or he was trying to, at least, because she was fighting him for the fucking hammer. And Joshua...
Let her fuck herself up. Like, just fucking let her. I'm done with this bitch, bro. I'm done. Just let her que se pinche meta unos pinches putazos. Déjala. Like, I don't understand.
And Joshua said that she was screaming. She's like, sounded like primitive, like primal screams and grunting. And that she just had rage in her. And they were fighting for the fucking hammer. Like, quería
Give
quitar la
her
hammer.
the fucking hammer. Déjala que se putee pa' que chingados se lo quitan.
And then se estaban agarrando, right? And then Joshua says that she was like, she hit me in the back of the head. And he was like, I thought at first that me había dado con sus manos, like she was punching me. But later found out that it was a roof tile. Le dio con un roof tile that she had in her pocket.
Wait. She had a fucking random ass roof tile in her pocket.
And then she hit Joshua que le quería quitar el hammer. Like she hit Joshua with the roof tile in the head.
El pinche, déjala que se mate a la verga. Like, why?
So obviously le quitó el hammer or something. And then
they tussled. They tussled.
So she went running. And by this point, I don't know if somebody had already called paramedics because they were on their way. So as she was running, she was being followed by 2 paramedics. And she ran to the top of a bridge. And that was above a major highway or major road. Mm-hmm. I think it was called the A50. And this bitch jumped 40 feet off of it onto the fucking ground.
Ni modo que pa donde.
She survived.
No!
With some injuries. She had a fractured skull.
Bitch, she had a fractured skull from the fucking hammer, bitch.
Or the car that fucking ran her over. And she had 2 broken ankles. I
mean, at least she can't run now. She has 2 broken ankles. Bitch.
It's not funny.
It's not. It's like, sit the fuck down.
How are you Super Mario? Like, how do you have so many lives?
Bitch, she's Super Mario for sure. Yoshi and shit. The fuck.
Now, obviously, like you said, she couldn't go anywhere. So she was arrested.
Yeah, because she stabbed
Glenn. She killed Glenn.
Oh my God.
She was under arrest for suspicion of murder initially and was taken to the University Hospital of North Staffordshire.
There's no suspicion.
Until she could recover, right? So she was
from
under
her broken ankles.
Yeah, so and her fractured skull.
So she did herself with the fucking
hammer or from when she
threw herself 40 feet
off a bridge. So she was under arrest, but it was in a hospital until, she could get better. So she was discharged, bitch, until September 11th. Remember, May, September 11th.
Damn.
And then she was taken into custody the same day and charged with the murder of Glenn Hollinshead. At the same time, in the same month, her sister Ursula, remember, with the fucked up leg from earlier, she was actually discharged that same month. Like, she had recovered. And she actually went back to Sweden to heal from her injuries, and then would later move back to America. Because remember, she was the one that lived in America primero. And I think now at the time, she was like in Washington. She ended up moving to Washington.
I was about to say she's in California, girl.
So Ursula herself, she was never charged with the crime.
But she slept she was in jail anyway. I mean, whatever.
No, she wasn't in...
She was like...
Seriously injured.
Seriously injured, yeah.
Now, cuando Sabina was interrogated about the events that took place, she did not give any answers or any explanation. None. She just answered with no comment. Until this day...
That's not an answer. Like, you can't say no comment. Like, you can say...
They're not asking you, like...
Yeah, you can't... Hey, how are you doing?
It's not for a tabloid.
Are you wearing,
Valentino
or Dolce & Gabbana? No comment. No, bitch, they're asking you if you killed somebody, motherfucker. Like, you can't just say no comment. No comment. It doesn't work that way.
Until this day, she has never given any reason for her actions. So her trial was set to begin the following year in February of 2009, but it would actually begin until September 1st, 2009, because it's reported that there was a big delay because they were trying to get like medical records from back in Sweden, but they were just having a lot of trouble.
Probably trying to make sure that maybe it was like a...
Yeah.
Como que está, like, what do they call it? Insane. Like, insanity?
Maybe they wanted to see if she had ever had any other mental illnesses, which she hadn't.
No, she didn't. Uh-huh.
Now, Sabina was evaluated by 2 forensic psychiatrists, one for the defense and another one for the prosecution. Now, they both agreed that Sabina was mentally ill at the time that she murdered Glenn. And they agreed that she wasn't okay mentally, but each one had a different diagnosis.
So, wait a minute. So you're telling me that she was mentally ill at the moment when she threw herself in front and then she did all this bullshit,
stuff,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Glenn.
Pero she wasn't mentally ill anymore?
we'll get there.
Okay.
Now, the defenses for forensic psychiatrist diagnosis was that Sabina suffered from an induced delusional disorder, which is also known as folie-à-deux. But I think that we've talked about this in an earlier case.
I want to say we did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have. According to the National Institute of Health, the term folie-à-deux includes several syndromes in which mental symptoms, particularly paranoid delusions, are transmitted from one person or more others with whom the apparent instigator is in some way intimately associated, so that he or she and they come to share the same delusional ideas. So in shorter terms, it's madness in two people. And it's actually, that's what Professor Nigel Eastman, the country's leading forensic psychiatrist, that's what he gives it in shorter terms. I think there was a case that we talked about that family. That family that they all fucking went missing from their farm y no los encontraron. Yeah.
I think it was that.
But we've discussed it.
I know that we've discussed something like that. I don't remember if it was that or somebody that it was like they had, I don't remember, but yes, I do remember I do remember mentioning that before. So then basically what you're saying is that what happened was that one of the sisters was delusional and then the other one was
Se le pasó a la otra. And I don't know if maybe it's because they're twins. Obviously it can happen with like a family member because you guys live so close together, you guys are connected. Pero here they're saying that Ursula was the primary sufferer and she influenced Sabina by just being around in her presence. And that was the defenses. That was a diagnosis for Sabina and her not being mentally ill at that time. Now, the prosecution's diagnosis was acute polymorphic psychotic disorder, also known as buffet delirante. I think that's how you say it. Again, the National Institute of Health describes it as an acute, non-affective, and non-schizophrenic psychotic disorder. And again, per Professor Nigel Eastman, it's a puff of madness. So it's a transient psychotic illness that will last for a bit and then it'll pass.
Now, I've heard before where I've actually not heard, but I mean, I've seen where there's people that have like really, really bad, like, I don't know, schizophrenia or any like real major illness, and they don't feel any pain because they're like they don't feel what's going on. So I can see why, because I kept saying something like I can see why they probably were doing these things and not feeling any pain.
Yeah.
If they were so manic, you know, I've heard of that. You know, I have heard where there's people that they're like, you can beat the shit out of them and they don't realize it's happening because they're not okay mentally.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's also what happened to them, because if they were like.
So remember, this is a diagnosis from the defense, and then the other one is for the prosecution. Now, both diagnoses are extremely rare, but they do happen. And both diagnoses were based mostly on the footage from the M6. So when they were hurling each other across the motorways that they get ran over. So that's mostly what they got the diagnosis from.
Running backs and shit.
Yes. Now, what Glenn's family didn't understand and what they wanted to know was why Sabina was released 2 days after the M6 accident. Because she just got charged with assaulting a police officer and then they let her go. 2 forensic psychiatrists just stated that she wasn't sane at the time. So if they were saying that day, that when they were doing those things, they weren't sane, why were they released? Or why was she released? And they just over here telling you, no, they weren't okay at that time. Whether it was whichever diagnosis it was, she wasn't okay. And actually, and it wouldn't be until later, like until 2012, that some footage was uploaded onto the internet where you see PC Paul and someone else, I think it was like a superior officer above him, and they were standing on the M6, because remember, all that shit was being recorded. And Sabina had just been sedated. And PC Paul is updating this superior officer about the situation, going over the notes. And then I think they talk about something like, oh, she's arrested. He checks the arrest note. And I think he's about to say something. And PC Paul just says 136. So 136 is a section under the 1983 Mental Health Act where the police have the power to hold someone based on their mental health, and where the person has to be mentally fully assessed to make sure that you're well, and they can hold you for that. Now, those things did not happen. So Glenn's family were right to think that...
Yeah, that they shouldn't have released her.
Right.
Yeah,
But according to, I don't know, I think this is detective or superintendent, I don't know, sorry, Dave Mellor. So while she was being held for those couple of days that she was being processed at the police station, she was seen on 4 separate occasions by a police surgeon. I don't know what that is.
What's a police surgeon?
I don't know. A consulting psychiatrist and a social worker.
Okay.
And based on their assessment of her at that time, they believed that she was not suffering from any mental or psychological illness.
So was she just having it for that period of time, and then when she came out of the hospital, it happened again?
But when she was being held, whoever evaluated her, they didn't see the footage from the M6. They just talked to her right there and then.
So she could have just been bullshitting them.
Now, it was explained that when a psychiatrist speaks to somebody in jail that it's being held and assesses them, it is just mostly to see if they are fit to be interviewed and charged.
Okay.
According to Professor Nigel, if she did suffer from a puff at madness, she would have been okay at the time she was seen, because it would have probably just gone away.
Yeah.
He also said that something that may have made Sabina calm down when she was taken into custody is that she was heavily sedated.
Yeah.
So maybe she was just chilling, at that time. While Sabina was obviously assessed by the forensic psychiatrist, Ursula wasn't. So all these diagnoses are just based off the footage seen of both of them, and then what she ended up doing to Glenn. So Sabina never stood trial for the murder of Glenn. And on September 2nd, she pleaded guilty to manslaughter by reason of diminished responsibility, and the prosecution accepted her plea. According to both psychiatrists, while she was mentally ill at the time that she killed Glenn, which was 18 months prior by this point, Sabina in that moment was fully recovered from whatever she was suffering in 2008.
That's fucking crazy.
The judge needed to sentence Sabina regardless, right? But since she was no longer mentally ill, he couldn't send her to a psychiatric hospital.
She had to go to regular jail.
So to hand down like an actual proper sentence, he needed to know what risks she posed to the public. Now, both psychiatrists told the judge that she was low risk. Now, the judge wanted to have Sabina monitored before and after she was released from the sentence that he was about to impose to her. But under the law, after she was released and she wasn't mentally ill, she couldn't be monitored.
You know what I wonder? Like, how was her actions? Like with the like jail and all of that. Like, was she just chilling normally? Did she remember what she had done? Like you said, she kept saying no comment.
Yeah.
But I'm just asking, like, how was her actions? Was she acting weird? Was she just like paranoid again? Like, I don't know. Like, I wonder what that was. They didn't say anything about that. Okay. So then,
because I guess you needed to know what she was like. And if I'm sorry, but I think I'm going to ahead of myself. So after whatever he imposed, after she was released, she couldn't be monitored because she was low risk and she wasn't mentally ill. So she was sentenced to 5 years in prison. And she served her sentence in the Bronzefield Women's Prison.
For killing Glenn.
Yeah.
Stabbing him.
To death.
To death.
And like now, nobody knows where she's at. A lot of people think that she's probably back in like Sweden or somewhere in Europe or like in Norway or something. But who's to know for sure? And let's say if it was, a madness, sure, by two, since her sister's in America and let's say she's in Europe, they're not in constant... They aren't in each other's presence. So if it was that, maybe that's why it hasn't happened again, or I can't stop it.
I wonder also if, and I'm just asking,
We're just talking
you probably
out of
don't know this answer, but like, I wonder if there was something that triggered it. Like, was it the kids? Was it like, because, she was talking about the kids back home or something like this.
But what did that have to do with anything?
I know, but I mean, maybe something triggered it. They freaked out and I don't know. I mean, I understand. I can probably be a little bit more understanding of the psychosis of that part, but I just don't understand. Like, usually it's something triggering, like something triggers that to happen, but you're telling me that it's just random? Like, you're just going to wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I'm having, like, you know what I mean?
But why were they going to London?
That's what I'm saying. Where were they going? And then on the bus.
And it's like, okay, it wasn't just one of them, bitch. It was both of them.
Yeah. So then, yeah, I get the fact that you're like, okay, it could transfer to the other one.
I mean,
if they're really close and that kind of thing.
I mean, obviously that happens. It's a thing.
Not only that, but obviously, I mean, I'm not trying to be gross, and I'm sorry if you don't want to hear about period, but when you work with a lot of women, you end up all getting your period at the same time. So I can see that maybe eventually.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. But this is a whole mental, like, to where you're like hitting yourself with the fucking hammer, bitch, like killing people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but they weren't together at that time anymore.
But it had been like a couple of days.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Well, maybe that's why a puff of madness. So that's why I get why there was two different diagnoses.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. I mean, obviously madness shared by multiple people. Obviously it happens, but at least to me, I feel like it amplified the fact that they were twins.
I don't know. I just don't, which you're right. But I'm just saying it's just weird to me, the fact that there's no like trigger or
that we know of.
Of. Or maybe in them they did have a trigger.
But
or
if she never wanted to say, like, why didn't you want to talk about it,
Yeah, or at least say what you felt. Or even her sister, like, yeah, you were, unconscious or whatever. But she didn't go and kill anybody. Why? Because she couldn't walk?
Yeah, imagine.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if she could walk or whatever.
And the fact that she was released, obviously a lot of the book that I used for just like a little bit of the information for this case, they think that it was some sort of cover up. That the police was trying to cover up that they fucked up because they released her when they shouldn't have, when it's on video that, PC Paul had said 136 that she should have been held because she wasn't mentally well, but quién sabe. But yeah, that's the case of Ursula and Sabina Eriksson and the death of Glenn Hollinshead.
Poor Glenn and his doggy. That's some shit. Well,
and it's so crazy that he thought as he was dying, his dog.
Shit, that's, yeah. That's it. That was his life.
Well, a lo mejor tenía miedo que, aquella was going to go after his dog too or something.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, but they were drinking buddies and shit. Like, bro, he was...
Yeah, like he was going out of his way to help her. And try to find what happened to her sister and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Well, let us know what you think, guys. I know this one is a little bit crazy and it might be a little controversial or a little bit controversial, because it's like, what do you feel? What do you think? Like, please let us know. We would love to know, because I have my theories and my thoughts, but sometimes I just have to like process stuff and you have to marinate. It has to marinate. So let us know what you think. If you would like to follow us on Instagram, we are at
Cafecito and Crime Pod. And
don't forget to download our episodes, please, when they come out. We appreciate everybody that has been supporting us. And I hope that you have a wonderful night, day, morning,
week,
month.
Bye.
Bye.